I wanted to give an update on what I've been doing so far. I started this project thinking I'm going to make a film, but the stories I wrote turned out to be too long for an animated film. It will take too much effort and time for one person to complete, and the risk of not finishing the project at all is pretty high when you have such an ambitious end product. So what I decided to do as I was creating the storyboards for the story I had, I started thinking, why wouldn't I just use those storyboards to create a comic book, tell the story from a comic book perspective? And then, as I was thinking on it more, I thought, well, why not only create it as a comic book, but a combination of a comic book plus a movie? So here's what I'm thinking. This is what I have so far. It's basically still renders that I created with Blender, and they tell the story that I have. So as you scroll through it, you'll see each panel here is a comic book panel, right? All these characters are created by MB Lab, and other assets are created by myself or downloaded or bought. And what I'm thinking is, as you scroll through, I haven't implemented that yet, but as you scroll through, you'll find one panel with a play button in the middle, and when you click on it, it will play a scene. That scene can be animated or it can be a real life shot scene. And this way I can combine the storytelling of this, the way I tell the story using both comic book and film. Yeah, so this is what I'm planning to do, and obviously creating short scenes which are 3 to 5 minutes each, maybe even shorter, and integrating them in the story, in the general story, will be a lot easier to do than to create an entire film, entire animated film. So anyway, this is the path I'm on right now, and I think it's a viable path and will create an interesting sort of product. I like it so far. It's just it's nice telling a story using comic book, because it combines the visuals and the text sort of storytelling mediums together. And with the addition of the movie element, it will be using all three elements to tell hopefully a good story. So this is what I have so far. Like I mentioned, all these characters are created via MB Lab. The actual assets, like this truck, for example, the buildings, the broken buildings, those are all assets I downloaded or bought. For example, the destruction that you see around in this are actually is a kit from kitbash3d.com that you can buy. This is a really good site. They have some good sales, so if you wait and you keep monitoring them, sometimes they put their kits on sale, and it's a good opportunity to buy something that you can use in your own projects. So I just want to give a quick update of how I like my process of doing this. First, I go to create my scenes in Blender. So I create my world, as you see here, right? This is the world for this scene, right? All these assets are from kitbash. Once I get the elements in, I sort of spend some time. Usually they're not in Blender format, so I have to bring them in. But moreover, I have to maybe break them apart, change the textures a little bit, add my own textures just so I can fit them in the story I'm telling. And once this is done, then I start telling my story frame by frame. So if you go to the beginning here, and I go in frame 0, basically I create, if you scroll through, you'll see that I create the story frame by frame. They're all stills. And after I finish laying out the story this way, I work on the lighting, and then I render it from Blender. Once I have a Blender render, then I go into GIMP, right? I open the file. So let's open a recent one here, for example, right? So I open this guy. This is a render from Blender, but it comes in like this, right? Then after that, I make a copy of it and I apply a few filters to make it look a little bit cartoonish. The filters that I use are fairly standard. They are from the artistic section here. I apply three, which is the cartoon, the photocopy, and the oilify, to get that look here. Once I create this, I add my speech bubbles on my text, right? And then I run, like I export it as a JPEG, for example. Now I found, let me go to the next step first. Once I have this and I export it, then I need to kind of import it into, create the actual comic book sheet. When I started this is one of the first pages I created. I was going fairly standard. I just, get every frame and I just lay it out in a standard way on the page. As I read more comic books and looked at the kind of page layouts that they use, I found that they don't stay with a very, sequential type of layout. They keep, varying the layout. They might have smaller frames, more rectangular frames, etc. So I'm starting trying to incorporate those type of ideas in what I'm creating. But anyway, so once I import this in, I lay them out, and then I can create the speech bubbles in here, because sometimes you might want the speech bubble to overlay both frames, so you won't be able to do that if you add the speech bubble in the original frame that I have, like I did here. Yeah, and once you do that, then you export each one as a JPEG, and then you zip them all, and then you change the extension of the zip file that contains all the pages into a CBR extension, and at least on my Linux box, I can open that CBR using my just a document viewer. It looks like a PDF. It can open PDF and can open CBR. It just displays all the different pages that I created in GIMP. Yeah, so this is sort of what I'm doing now. I'll keep at it, see how it goes. It's kind of fun, and it's nice seeing your vision come to life this way. Anyway, hopefully that helped. If there are any questions, drop them in the comment below. Take care.